Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome back to Nelson Radio. I'm with my guest host, Mike Fell, known by OC Metro Magazine and Avo.com as one of the top criminal defense attorneys in Orange County. This segment presented by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services worldwide. If you need a limo, all you need to do is text the word limo to 313131, and we're also inviting your comments. Give us a call direct. You can reach us at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or connect with us on the web at nelsonradio.com. And Mike, I'm excited to bring onto our show a very prominent figure in the real estate sector. We've got the president of the National Association of Realtors, Gary Thomas, with us. Gary is leading the charge for a trade group that's about 1 million members.
Fantastic. I figured I'd wait for you to take a breath, and then I'd say, it's great to be here, Nelson. And
that was all one breath.
I can see that. Matter of fact, you're blue in the face for the listeners that can't see you.
I was looking for a landing spot.
And not only am I excited to have Gary on the show, but there is a chance that his offspring, Steve Thomas, may be on our show today as well.
And he's coming on our show as well. And we're broadcasting, obviously, from the Lion Air Museum, an incredible tribute to the aviation, the military aviation of World War II and the Korean Wars, sitting in front of the B-17 Fuddy-Duddy. You still want to get up in air on that.
And I'm sitting next to the Fuddy-Duddy, so it works out perfectly. And I'm not talking about Gary Thomas.
Yeah, and you know he's still here.
I do.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Gary, hey, it's great to have you on the show. I got to start out by saying you are so much better looking than your son.
Thank you.
I'm sure you hear that all the time. Hey, but let's talk about the real estate industry for a little bit. And as a lawyer, I'm taking a look at some of these purchase agreements. And when I bought my first house, it seemed like a handshake and a one-page document that I signed. These days, to buy a house, it's almost like you're going through the dictionary. So tell me about what's changed. And don't bag on my people too much. That's attorneys, that is. And tell me why we have a plethora, phone book now that we have to sign as opposed to that one pager, and what the benefits and the detriments are to that.
Well, it is because of your profession that we have that. so you can acknowledge it.
All right, and we can bill for it too.
That's right, and you do very well at that.
Well, thank you.
No, I really over the years, we've had court decisions that have prompted different things that we've had to put into the documentation. We have a transfer disclosure statement. That's something in law now. And so there's lots of things all along that have been added into the contract. When I started, you free-form wrote the contract out. There wasn't anything pre-printed. Now, most every agent uses what's called WinForms. It's a form of doing the contracts online.
But let me back up the attorneys for a second. Don't you feel that both the buyers and the sellers are now more protected based upon these additional advisement, disclaimers, et cetera, that are in the forms?
If they read it, yes. But as you acknowledged, it's so thick, and especially when you get down to the loan documents. I don't know any borrower that reads all the way through all of those loan documents. If they did, it would take them about a week.
I used to have an escrow officer. She would say at signing of loan documents, you've got 30 minutes to sign, 30 years to read the documents.
Right.
I think that's how we got in trouble in the mortgage business.
I think I did that with my marriage contract too.
So let me steer the direction of this question towards what we're dealing with in the real estate market, I think, across the nation, and that's the downturn in inventory. You have, obviously, a vibrant marketplace. People want to buy, not enough homes. Is there any dialogue about that with the National Association of Realtors?
Well, there is, but there's not much we can do to try and stimulate people to put their houses on the market. Part of it is because many people are still underwater, and so as the prices continue to rise, that'll bring more people out of they will have equity left, and so then they can begin to sell. And I think that you're going to start seeing that happen. So the regular sellers are starting to come on, and there are more of them coming on the market now, but there's much fewer distressed sales on the market. So that's really what's caused the shortage.
Now, Gary, I've noticed not only with the practice of law, but basically with all businesses, the internet has taken over. You've got your iPads, you've got your internet, you've got your different, as Rob talked about, your avo.coms, ways to get out there and find your professionals. How has the NAR embraced technology in its field?
Well, we've done a lot of things. First of all, we started Realtor.com back when it was unheard of to have real estate listings online. And so that was the very first venture into showing it to the public. And so we've been involved in it practically from the beginning of the internet.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You're listening to Nelson Radio, presented by Best Chauffeured, worry-free, and on-time limousine services. If you need a limo, text the word limo to 313131, and you can always contact us direct at 888-888-2136 with questions. Something I wanted to ask you, Gary, is about the future and how the NAR is planning for the next generation.
Well, one of the things that we have is we have what's called a YPN network, and that's a Young Professional Network. And so we're building the youth into the organization so that they can let us know what works best for them and their generation. We also have a strategic planning committee, which for last year, this year, and for next year is being headed up by one of those YPNs. And so we're trying to get as much information as we can so that we can make sure that we're meeting those needs of the next generation.
And Nelson, I wanted to point out for our listeners that when he talked about young professionals, he was looking directly at me and not at you. I want to make that round clear.
Yeah, no, I fell asleep.
I think you're in the OPN, Old People's Network.
So quickly, we wanted to round out with your vision now, with leading the charge and coming into the National Association of Realtors as the president. A question that I frame out in terms of what you would start, stop, and keep doing.
Well, there's not much that I would stop doing that the National Association does, because we review it all the time. One of the things that we do very well, and we're actually increasing that, and that's our advocacy. We have it not only at the local level, the state level, but of course at the national level. And we do a great job of that, and we're starting to bring in the consumer into that by directly contacting them and asking them then to get onto our issues.
Now, when you're talking about advocacy, obviously you and I think differently about advocacy. I'm thinking about being in court. What kind of advocacy can you help your members out with?
Well, if there was let's say there was a zoning problem in one of the communities and they wanted to pass something that would not be in the best interest of property owners, then we get in there and try and fight to have that turned down. Same thing at the state level, same thing at the federal level. Right now we're doing an awful lot on the mortgage interest deduction, as well as trying to make sure that we have a very good lending system going forward.
And this is a hot topic we're going to discuss about moving forward. The mortgage interest deduction threatened, I think, of being taken away. Gary, thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. This is Nelson. I'm with my guest host, Mike Fell, from the law office of Michael L. Fell, presented by Best Chauffeured, worry-free, and on-time limousine services. We want you to give us a call, 888-888-2136, and get ready with our next segment. We have the founder and CEO of our radio network, Ron Quintero,
This
coming
is when
up.
we have to be on our best behavior, Nelson.
And like Gary, he's dedicated his entire media platform to rebuilding the real estate sector after the Great Recession.
Stay tuned, because he has got an amazing story that I'm going to go through with him, and the listeners do not want to miss that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.